Hello, welcome back or welcome in. Thank you again for continuing to follow my story. For those who are here for the first time, kind of notice the heading of this video. It may ring true for you, especially as we're going through this time of a lot of people losing benefits and, food insecurity whatsoever, just having a hard time. Prices at the supermarket being high. And um, so if you are new, I've been telling a story about my spiritual ascension and give you a little bit of background. Um, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm also a psychic medium. I'm also a Reiki master. And back in 2017, my father, who is in spirit, through a medium, gave me all these instructions and had no idea what he was trying to really say to me, but kind of saying, do this, do that, do this. Um, Later on, about 2 years later, another psychic came to me and just kind of approached me out of the blue and said, I have to tell you something, I have to give you a reading, and said that you're going to be working with homeless women. Didn't know what that meant, kind of thought, okay, I have a lot of clothes because I had worked on Wall Street for 20 years and they're just kind of sitting there, didn't want to get rid of them. So I said, well, maybe it's a thing of me kind of donating clothes to um, a homeless shelter. And that's what I do. I packed up 9 big black garbage bags of clothes that were, I don't know, there's something about me needing to hold on to things that I didn't need. Anyway, exposing too much there. Um, anyway, I then, let's see, 2020 is when the pandemic hit and everything fell apart for me. So I'm just giving you a little bit of background. I ended up living with a family member. All my finances were gone, lost. It's a long story. Please go back to one of the first episodes to kind of go along to figure out what I'm talking about. And I ended up with nothing. But I was living with this family member who was essentially feeding me, but with that, I was taking her abuse. I think that's the first time I ever really experienced um, needing to go to someone else other than my parents or when I was married or something like that, looking to another person for food, you know. Anyway, I got out when I left that situation because it was so abusive. I kind of had to escape. And I ended up at social services and I just said, I need emergency housing. And they put me in a shelter. And along with that comes, food stamps and medical and things like that that are paid for. Excuse me, to bring my water over here, that are paid into the system by all of us, right? And I remember the first couple days, like when I was put into the shelter, given a bed, you don't get your card for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 days. So in the meantime, I had no food and I had a little bit of money put to the side. And the other women there already had their, EBT card or buying food. Some of them were nice enough to share some of their food with me. There was a cabinet that had some extra food in it, but I was so used to having what I always desired that like having like a can of beans to me was like, I'm not going to eat that, you know? I wish I would have known better back then, right? Anyway, coming into leaving that situation, leaving the shelter at the end of January of 2023. And I had started working at a job in finance. And I also lost my benefits because I had left the shelter. So I had like 1 month of benefits left, and which helped me to get through the first month. And then as I was getting on my feet, I had moved into like a room rental. And so I was able to buy my own food at that point. Kind of backtracking, but the universe was prompting me to leave that situation because one of the things that my father had told me was I lived in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey at the time, left New York to go live with this family member in New Jersey. Um, and my father had told me to go to the New Hampshire, Maine border. No idea how I was going to get there, what that meant or anything, but I just knew that that was the destination that I needed to work towards. When I left, I had such a long story. I'm trying to tell you all, but I'm trying to concentrate on food insecurity. But anyway, I ended up leaving this room situation one day and had no money left. Went out into the rain one Sunday evening and had absolutely no money. Um, Sat out in the rain all night, and the next morning waiting for Dunkin' Donuts to open because I had a bunch of change to just get a donut to eat for that day. And that lasted me, all day. And the first time of not having food, like just having that donut all day. The next day, again, same thing, counting out my change, and a Dunkin' Donut person looking at me like, and having that one donut again. And it's really like understanding what many people have been going through for so long. And I worked on Wall Street, had a six-figure job, and went to some of the best restaurants in New York City. Easily would throw out, however much for takeout or spend however much on food. Like money wasn't a problem back then. When I got up here to Maine, in my travels to get here, again, if you followed my story, you understand what happened. And again, coming to a point where I ran out of money again. And for about 3 weeks of just having very little amount of food. I'm saying all this because I had just heard a report, something that kind of clicked in my mind to say that with this shutdown and there's not going to be any, I don't know what they call it, but the EBT for November. So I'm filming this on October 31st. If you're just seeing this, I'm probably not going to post it for a while, but November 1st, as we know, is going to be the day when no one gets their EBT unless something happens before now or then. And this report saying that is going to mostly affect children. And that just hurt my heart because I said, I know how it felt to be hungry, and I can not imagine. 'Imagine. 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 a child having to go through this, and not, like it never like really clicked in my mind because I was always in this other zone where people that are well off don't really think about those that really do need um, help. Anyway, I'm at this point right now again where spirit kind of has me in a holding pattern. And when you're at the end of your ascension journey, the physical part is over. And now the universe needs to now have you sit in isolation to say, have you really learned the lessons that you've gone through all of these years that we've taken you through? And that's the reason why you've chosen this path, right? Or have been chosen by the universe to take this path because you're going to go through this elevation, right? Your consciousness go through this elevation to let go of your ego of saying like I'm too good for, going through. And as hard as, like I said, it's so hard to talk about to you guys, even to say like I'm at the point that I've run out of money and saying I don't have the food that I need. Um, which in one way it's great because I when I was working just before last year into early this year, going through a lot of emotional things with things on the job. And again, if you've been listening to my story, you know what happened. Um, and I use food as a comfort, right? Emotional support. So packing on the pounds. And so in one way, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is great. I'm not eating. But in another way, it's kind of like really, truly understanding what the universe wanted me to see. When this gentleman had come to me and said, you're going to be working with homeless women. And we think homeless, we think, okay, someone who lives outside or lives in a shelter or something like that. We don't take into account that these people also don't have the food or the medical that they need. And that plays a really big part of it. I first went into the shelter that first time. I had a bed to sleep in. I had a bathroom to use. I had a shower to use, but I didn't have food initially those first few days. And even when I ended up here and went to a shelter for, I think it was about 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that. Thank goodness for Maine, bless Maine, that the shelter provides 3 meals a day. So you don't even have to have a EBT card or anything like that. And I was grateful for that. They had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So even though I had got a job by that time, was going to work, I hadn't got my initial paycheck. And that's a whole nother thing. Even though people say, oh, well, just get a job. Yeah, I have a job now, but there's that period of time between first getting the job, starting it, and then waiting for that first paycheck, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or whatever. So what do you do in between? You know what I'm saying? So for anyone out there who may not be on a spiritual path, but kind of the title of the video drew you in, I understand. I feel for you. I get it. I've been there. I understand that part of my purpose is to be there for those that need help, truly need help. I'm going to leave it at that. But anyway, I'm going to leave that here. I'm not sure when I'll post this video because as I am going through this situation right now, um, hoping that no, I refuse to use the word hope, trusting that the universe will step in and provide me with what I need. And that's the whole thing about um, this journey too. The journey is not only an elevation, right, in consciousness, but also is putting your full trust in the universe. And as hard as it is for me sometimes, and I get frustrated and I'm saying, Spirit, I don't know if I could hold on much longer. It's putting your full trust in and knowing that the universe will provide at the correct divine time. Okay. Thank you for being here again, and I'll see you in the next one.